What's happening on campus this week? What's planned going forward? And anything else you want to talk about how to win, thrive, and impact on your own terms? Who's first?
Well, what do you mean by what's going on campus this week? I know in about another week or so, I'm going to be kicking off the Inner Circle Outer Rim, so I'm excited about that.
So
So,
the Inner Circle Outer Rim is part of our product mix, and the way Inner Circle Outer Rim works is it's for people who need to work through it. Stage 8 on the red pill pathway journey is around community. So it's creating your mentor, peer, and partnership groups. And this is Gail's version of a partnership, or I guess more of a peer. Actually, I guess I get. How would you describe it? I mean,
it's
peer group in a
community. It's
way.
community of the inner circle is the community of folks who are already on the enlightened journey and are experiencing changes going through the world. And the conversation is like, what is going on right now? What are you feeling? What's happening? So that we can get grounded in the changes. The outer rim are those who are curious but not yet there. And that's more of a chat group where you'll receive documents. You'll get a recap maybe of what we talked about on the inner circle
Yeah,
just until you're ready, because we don't want to burn your brain.
burning the brain. So if you're a dragon rider,
Right?
that's Inner Circle. If you're woo curious, that's Outer Rim, and we have two different platforms for this. Both are great. Different pricing levels because that's important based on commitment, and it makes sense.
It's
So,
going to be
Brian, what are
fun.
you up to?
What am I up to? The first thing I wrote down was neurodivergent business owners as a peer group.
Ah,
That keeps coming up.
hmm,
And the existing neurodivergent groups are very clinical. This is more of a peer group. How to like exist in this world that doesn't make sense to the mutants and X-Men and especially gifted. And I want a home to fully share this alternative world that we all live in. 47% of us are neurodivergent, and it's great.
47% of the population.
Yes,
So that
I
means
and I
that's
would say
normal.
all of us are, by the
Yeah,
way.
we're all of us. Yeah, that's
all
right.
of us. Yes. Well, the
Right.
people that identify that way, I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to that. And then
Yeah.
the work I did this week with Louisa, this hypnoenergetics, I think will be interesting too. Sort of raise the vibration, Donnie Epstein style, mixed with subconscious work with hypnotherapy. That seems to be a pretty juicy intersection of two things.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. So for me, the thing about what we're talking about with Matt Harms, who's a ghostwriter extraordinaire, and you with invincibility, and what I'm doing with market authority planning, as well as becoming a market leader and a legend in your own market, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to do that. It coincides perfectly for me. I'm so excited about it because I'm writing the book now, Liberation Mechanics, and I'm releasing it a chapter at a time on Substack, and it all connected. And I'm like, oh, let's do a joint product, the three of us, where the product over a period of 8 weeks is to learn how to become invincible, do your market authority planning, be out in the market, and start releasing long form content, Substack or Medium or like who cares where, like wherever you new LinkedIn newsletter, whatever we want to do as a group. And then over 12 months, we're working it together to get better and better and better for those who want to keep going with it. I was very excited about that idea.
And that's especially exciting for me. I realize there's like 800 people on the planet that if I do the full Jedi treatment, they're like, yes. So that means that there's like 8 billion people not ready for that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so if
don't
there's a
burn their brain.
Yeah,
burn their
that's
brain,
right.
so if
Uh-huh.
there's a goal in mind, a deliverable, can insert this as a way to make the journey a little faster, a little lighter. So
What I like especially about it is the writing workshops right now that I've seen are are good, and I've been in around them, and I've watched them carefully. And I was in I've been in a bunch of content creator communities. And I think some of them are so polluted by marketing thinking that to get anything real out that actually gets real attention from the people that I want to be connecting with in the marketplace at scale is very, very hard to do. And then some of the other ones I found, they don't have enough of the long form orientation where you're building a real legacy product out in the marketplace that turns into a book. So it's either, go write a book, go run and look for a publisher. I'm never going to a book publisher, and I am never publishing another book on Amazon, Kindle Direct Publishing. So to me, this is an alternative model.
Yeah, I just stepped into Substack myself,
Yeah.
and I'm in the process of writing my first really long post, and it really is fun to think I'm not limited by, oh no, you can't put this here, you need to put it
Right, because of
there.
the marketing
Yeah,
thinking. Right.
right. So not having those limitations, plus the freedom to talk about what I want to talk about and not have it blocked.
Yes.
So
And
I've experienced both of those.
Are you talking about getting shut down by the algorithms on the social media
Right,
companies? Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah.
And it's like, what did I say in that post? And so I don't care. I'm not going to post there anymore. You don't want me? Not a problem. Found my home.
Larry, can we go back to 2008 when I was writing my first book, and
Yeah.
I did that in my cave?
Yeah.
The idea
In your cave. Exactly.
of creating something in the marketplace for the market instead of for what I thought the world needed.
Or with the market instead of for the
Yeah.
market with, but for, in the sense of not for them, I'm writing it for me,
Right.
thinking about, is this understandable
Exactly.
for them? But I'm not changing anything. I mean, Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, Frank Zappa, they didn't change the songs for the market. They just adapted it so it'd be understandable and useful. That was the work.
That's the difference between selling thousands of copies and millions of copies.
A lot of market authority planning, and we're having our meeting this afternoon, is about what movie are you making? And if somebody wants to make an art film for their friends and family, go ahead. And I don't have anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong with that. But Spike Lee made Do the Right Thing. That was an art film. And it was also a blockbuster hit. And I watched it like a few months ago, and I'm like, no, I get it.
Ooh, there's a
Way to
line.
go.
There's a line in the offer. I love this. And as I assume that if you're watching this, you're some kind of an entrepreneur or business owner. Francis Coppola says, here's the prescription. Write one for them, write a movie for you. And what he was able to do with Godfather was do both at the same time.
Bam. So when I thought about liberation mechanics, and I was in the Outer Banks, so it was the family vacation, and I'm writing all this stuff and I'm showing it to my family, and they're like, what are you talking about? My brother looks at it and he's like, that's some deep thinking. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I sound like Alan Watts. And it's like, we already had Alan Watts in the 70s. Like, no one in this society wants another Alan Watts. It's just, nobody has time to wade through all that stuff. And I'm going through Course in Miracles. I'm on page like 356. And it's sort of like, wow, I love it. But a lot of people are not going to want that. So I started reading, and I want to do Dostoevsky, right? But my own version. So Notes from Underground was so meaningful to me. But I'm like, no, I can't do that. It's been done. But that's the tradition I want to be in, truth teller to the society. And then I found Ayn Rand, and I'm reading Atlas Shrugged, and I'm like, she wrote an action adventure movie with massive philosophy underneath. That's the model. Done.
Mm. And so for me, like the Sarah Landon Bashar, I have been running from the gift to be able to channel source stuff. So my next work's no longer writing and creating from my mind, but from the channel, from universal wisdom, knowledge, and intelligence.
And we were talking about it at the More Money Now meeting this morning around, or even before that in the Invincibility Dojo, I think we started the conversation. So the idea was, okay, so if you are channeling or connected into the source truth, in other words, you're in the impact phase of being an entrepreneur, you're in connect, you're right out there, and you start saying we or you or things like this, people think you're providing an opinion. So part of it is figuring out a different style of communications. And when we help the people who kind of join make that switch, and everybody, they were like, oh, that works so much better. My voice, my experience, not my opinion, presented as my voice and my experience. Now people can enter the story without all what's called expository dialogue, which is all the explanations and filler. And people are just like, you know what? I'm out. I don't have time for this person.
And what I'm realizing in taking channeled information or wisdom without the frame of I just got a download or I experienced this in my imagination makes it hard to hear. And so in my market, the idea of like I just got a download is accepted enough to like, wow, yeah, I want to hear that. Actually being asked for that.
And I'm not talking about it at all, because with entrepreneurs, coaches, service providers, win people, thrive people, when you start saying things like download, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Impact people know what downloads are. Received wisdom from truth, source of truth. But whenever I start speaking like that, I lose, I'd say, I don't know what it is, 85% of the people. No, more than that. It's probably more than that.
Or I'm finding when I use that language, it resonates even more with my people.
That's right. And this is, again, what movie are you making? So market authority planning later today, we're going to talk about what movie are you making? So who do you want to show up? Some people don't want people in the winning phase to show up. Winning, I'll just quick say, it's entrepreneur experience chart based on David Hawkins' map of consciousness that I received as wisdom. So if you understand that, now you know. If not, don't worry about it. But winning people, they're thinking about winning a victory in the world, winning a victory over themselves. I want those people to show up here. I don't want to scare them away with all kinds of stuff they look at as weird woo.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the download experience that I have. When I'm with someone and I get a download, I will say something like, I want to say for some reason, blah. I don't say I got a download.
Right. That's good.
Because they'll be like, what? WTF?
I love that.
Right? But
yeah,
for some reason, I want to say, and 99.999% of the time, I get, holy shit, blah, blah.
How'd you know?
Right? Or I'll get, yeah, that doesn't resonate. And then 2 weeks later, I get a call back. Yeah, it really did. So that's the 0.01%. Or I get a download like I have for patterns on the trestle board. Gail, this is your experience with this stuff. You need to share it. Right? And so I usually argue on that. It's like, you want me to what? And then I work with a way to share it in a way that's meaningful. So it's a knowledge and a knowing that I want to translate.
So one of the things that you're talking about that was so meaningful to me was in Next Level Living on Monday, when you did that patterns on the trestle board. I printed out patterns on the trestle board and I started reading it every morning, meditating on it. And man, that was a leap for me.
Yes, it is.
It was a leap for me. And I didn't do anything. I just was there.
It's pretty amazing.
I'm having an interesting experience. So I had a hearty diet of books and YouTube channels and those things. And I've just, like last night, I got to the point where like, I think I'm done with YouTube. And
I'm done with YouTube too.
And so what am I replacing it with? For some reason, I'm finding these almost dreamlike experiences where I'm learning from myself, like my true self, like from 10 years in the future. And I'm finding that to be so much more interesting.
You know, the YouTube and social media. So maybe we talk about that a little bit, because we're talking about, we call these connect strategies, and they can be publishing connect strategies, or they can be networking connect strategies. Whatever connection means to you in your market, if you're a content person or you're a networking person, or It doesn't matter. You're still trying to connect. And I'm using all of them. So I'm using YouTube, Facebook, I'm using Instagram, and I'm looking to see how they work, but I don't take them seriously. And to be honest, I don't even take LinkedIn seriously anymore because they run it. So they meaning those who control the almighty algorithm. So I will use their stuff. And I like LinkedIn because they do have a connect-oriented strategy behind the platform because it's owned by Microsoft. But as far as YouTube goes, I just think it's a big joke. And everyone's talking about YouTube. Google canceled my account a year ago without notification. They just closed it. So I've still got one up under larrycall.com, but redpillpathway.com, I cannot even log in. They block me on YouTube. I didn't do anything wrong. It's all algorithmic. So if you want to build something on Facebook or YouTube as a business asset, you're crazy. I would use it to extract relationships while they extract my free data and my content to build their platform for themselves.
And that's part of our experience on the entrepreneur campus is what works for you. Because some people do really well using the social media platforms, right?
Yeah.
And I find those people are the ones who focus on one platform, not all of the platforms, like post here. They focus on one platform. So they get to understand the algorithms and they play like a game.
They love it.
Right. It's a
I
game
hate
for
it.
them, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I hate it.
So what game do you want to play? Right? Where are you having fun? If you're not having fun, by the way, in your business, you need to come and talk to us.
You're doing it wrong. Yeah,
You're
if it's
doing
not
it
fun, you're
wrong.
doing. So the interesting thing about the game, the algorithm game, is it is a marketing game because the marketing means to promote and sell something, meaning there's a separation between me and my market. My product is separate from the buyer. My product is separate from the market. I have to go out in the market and go figure out how to get people to show up, get them to, know, like, and trust me and all this stuff, right? And funnel them, whatever it is. It can be, super, ethical. It can be incredibly uplifting and elevating, but still, I have to figure out the platform and how to get people to know, like, and trust me. I don't ever want to do that again for the rest of my life. But other people love it.
Yeah, and I'm not in the hunting game. I'm in the receiving game. People introduce me to folks that, Gail, I think you'll resonate with this person, and they're usually right because they know me. But I'm not out there looking for my people. My people are going to find me.
And I
Yeah.
seem to be
Find them.
I seem to be playing the invitation game without expectation.
Invitation game. So you want to explain what the invitation game is? So what we're talking about, so people know, is our More Money Now process is my business development creative approach that I started using when I was 17 years old, when I started networking at 17. And then at 21, I took a company to the next level, a tiny little family business using these strategies. And now over many years, I can kind of look back and say, oh, that's how I did it, codify it, organize it, know how to explain it and show it to other people. And what we're talking about is phase 2, which is called connect. How do you connect into the marketplace? So Brian, how are you finding that now?
So first I had to be honest with myself. Am I operating in integrity? So I don't want followers. I don't want 3 million people following me on Instagram. Like, the goal is to create an ecosystem.
Yes.
Okay, so the word follower, like, we're immediately out.
There. I'm out with that too.
Second, I do these posts and they're well thought out and those things, but I realize, like, I'm pontificating into the market. And there's a lot more experience that I'm sharing, but I really, really like talking to people on the phone. Like, I love it. Like, I love going outside and I love walking and meandering around my neighborhood with no shirt and no shoes as I recharge my eyes, my skin, and those things. And, I get to do this now, not from a marketing or sales perspective, but from genuine connection. We haven't talked in a while. What are you up to? Oh, well, here's what I'm up to. I don't know if you want to, like, play in this space, but I'd love to invite you to this. No, I'm not interested.
All
Okay.
right. For me, it's the opposite now. So it's almost like to go to a Zoom meeting to meet somebody that I don't know, or even to reconnect with somebody I know, I call it commuting. So I'm commuting off the campus, which feels like a co-working space that I go to work in and hang out in. And if I have to leave that and go to somebody's Zoom link, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it. And I don't care how famous or important they are. I'm just not interested. I don't want to do it. So I don't anymore. And the funny thing about it, I'm finding, is when people define working, they want to know what my KPIs are, and they'll ask me, "So what are your?" I'm like, "I don't have any KPIs anymore. I don't need them."
Oh
Now
my
they're
God.
like, okay, for some people, they need metrics and KPIs and measurable results to know how they're doing. I know how I'm doing because I feel it.
Right.
So when I feel the sense of prosperity and connection inside myself, I know I'm good. And I don't need any KPIs because I know it'll work out. The inner world, the outer world shows up and matches the inner world. And so I'm not concerned about it anymore.
I'm just going to make a metaphor with the breath because that's the language I know the best. So when I work with somebody, usually the first piece of homework is notice when you hold your breath, like opening the door, getting on Facebook and doing social media posts. My
That's
breath,
often where people are holding their breath.
right?
That's
And
right.
so if I'm really creating from source, channeling the inner genius, the breath is easy and there's no tension across the chest. So I'm finding that the body already knows what feels good. And if it feels good and it resonates, it's going to resonate with the people that I am meant to resonate with. There's nothing to force. In fact, I don't have the ability to force anything.
It's almost impossible now for me to do it either. My Connect strategy right now that's been really fun, I call it the social media party. So I wrote up the social media playbook where I really broke it down step by step for people who aren't used to doing this. And I look at somebody who's popular, they're social popularity famous. And I'm like, thank you for building the audience for me. And then I think, is it real what they're saying? And if it's not, it's an ad, for example, or a funnel or something, or somebody's just pontificating, opinionating. They're an opinion projector from the stage. I go into their feed and I say, I remember when I did that. This is what happened. And then when I stopped doing it, my life went in this direction. And then I'm this bold. I'm going and I'm saying, if you want an alternative, here's a link to something, an article or the campus event. And I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Now I had a slip a couple days ago where I did that from somebody who's like really awesome on LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh my God. And I mentioned a couple of people, you guys, and I was like, and then I felt bad afterwards and I wanted to go delete my comment because I love her. She's like the real deal. So I'm learning, like, do it if they're advertising, but if somebody's like the real thing and connected already, don't go in their feed and do that.
And I don't feel the need to particularly point someone out. However, the piece that I'm working on is based on a piece that I read. So I mentioned, here's the title, here's the author. You want to go see it, be my guest. And it's all about you're self-aware when. And there's 16 goddamn steps. Guys, the fact that you open your eyes in the morning, you are self-aware.
That's good enough.
Right? You brush your teeth, you are self-aware. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. You're telling me that it takes me going through 16 steps to be self-aware. Now, being awake and more enlightened, that's a different story,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
self-aware, so the languaging of what people are using, now I'm more heightened in it, and it really does flip when I hear the words. It's like, yeah, no, that's not really what those words mean. So it's going to be interesting how I address that particular article. But we're all self-aware. That's
Yeah.
what that's what we are. Dogs are self-aware. right? We all know that we are who we are. We're conscious, therefore self-aware.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of Andrew Huberman and the rest of the biohackers.
Yeah. What's going on with that, Brian? Do they know what they're talking about?
Andrew knows what he's talking about for him.
Yeah.
Right. So it's again back to the followers. Like wake up in the morning, get sunlight on your eyes as soon as possible, hop in the ice bath, do your anaerobic training, intermittent fasting. There's like 6 hours worth of biohacking stuff you got to do every day.
That doesn't sound fun.
And then like Craig Valentine's like, fuck all of that. Get to work.
Do the work. Yeah.
Alex Hormozy's the same way. He's like, I go to work before I drink coffee.
It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And it works for him because that's where he's at. I used to be there when I was like 23, 24, I was where he is now in that mentality of I'm going to grind away until I bleed. And I did. And I rolled racks through airports selling children's clothing and taking because I was building a family business into a distribution company, a professional distribution company. So I bled to death. And the problem is when it's presented like an opinion projector approach of be like me. And when you got that social proof and you're using those marketing playbooks from what's his name, the Arizona State guy who wrote Influence, or forget his name out right now, but the
Cialdini?
It doesn't matter.
Cialdini, yeah, Cialdini. So Cialdini, yeah. It's like you don't know for me what's right. How can you possibly? You're trying to manipulate my brain.
So what I've learned on the campus, the Entrepreneur Experience campus, is my business circadian rhythm.
Ooh, that's good. Oh,
right?
Oh my God. Can you explain that? Because that is exactly it.
That's
My
exactly
business circadian rhythm is not the same as Alex Hormozy.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's
So,
weird.
and honestly, I owned my rhythm because of the experience I went through last year. I've always known that I'm a person who needs naps. I've known that for decades. I need naps.
Yeah.
But in corporate, you don't take naps, so I push through. So in my business, I've been pushing through. Well, I was forced to take naps, right? And now I block this on my calendar. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not meeting between this time and that time. Sorry, not meeting. And it's only 10 minutes. But that's what I need for my body. And my brain no longer functions after 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm really great at 5 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. I can have lunch and maybe do a little bit more after lunch, but come 2:30, I'm toast. So I'm not going to create, I'm not going to have a strong, deep client meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I know my rhythm.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what happened to me too. So I have fun. I come on the campus in the morning. I do my thing early in the morning.
Yeah.
I hang out with my wife for a while, deal with the dogs, talk to my daughter. She goes to school. I come up here, do Invincibility Dojo. We do More Money Now. I do this broadcast. And then I have, some cool meetings on campus for a few hours, or do some stuff on my list. If I don't even have a list, actually, I just throw stuff on my calendar. And then I get in the car and I drive around and talk to myself.
Right.
And I get my creative thing going. And then I go find I have this whole routine of coffee shops, and I write for like 3-4 hours. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I write, and then it's 5:30. I come home, do all the family stuff, dogs again. And then about 8 o'clock, I write more, and then go to bed about 10. And I'm like, that's my business circadian rhythm. It's working great.
And my clients, my client circadian rhythm are those that I can dance with, and we can lead and follow. And we know when to lead and follow. Right? I'm not always the leader. You're not always the follower. It's a symbiotic relationship. And it's beautiful. It's a creative process. Right?
We can talk all day.
Yes.
And we do.
Right?
Brian, do you wanna we got one more minute.
Yeah, really two things I just want to add to the party. So as a energy guy, business guy, and energy business biohacker, I realized that when I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's good. I fought that for a decade. And so I just wake up and I do breath work or some energy stuff, more active type lucid dreaming, and I go back to sleep. And then now that counts as my morning sort of charge. And then right after this, I'm going to hop in the ice bath and I'm going to lift heavy because I need to do that to play through until about 5:30 because it changes my hormones enough.
But you're not doing it because Andrew Huberman and Wim Hof said to do it. And you studied with Wim Hof and he said, no, find your own breath, Brian.
He sure did.
Indeed.